All right, these are the extra practice problems for section 1-1. So I'm just going to do some extra problems that will help you guys with your assignment and some of the activities that we're going to be doing in class. These are also some problems that you might see on a quiz or a test, so I would do the extra practice. Feel free to pause the video and try to do these on your own, and then you can watch and see as I work them out and see if you did them correctly. So first, we're going to graph the numbers on a number line. Now, this part is just the question number, number 5, so we're just going to get rid of that because that's not really part of what you're doing. Um, so we want to graph 1 on the number line. That's easy. That's down here. You can just put a little dot on the number. Then we're going to graph the square root of 3. Now, I don't know what the square root of 3 is just off the top of my head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert that to a decimal. So in my calculator, I'm going to actually take the square root of 3, and it is about 1.73. So I can graph that on here. Now, if you didn't have a calculator, you know that the square root of 1 is 1, and the square root of 4 is 2. So it has to be somewhere in between 1 and 2. So if you had to guess, you could do that also. Then we have negative 2/3. Now you can convert that to a decimal as well, or you can just, it's between negative 1 and 0, and so you could just put it 2/3 of the way between negative 1 and 0. But if you wanted to convert that to a decimal, you can just take negative 2 divided by 3, and you get 0.6 repeating, and it's negative, so you can put that on there. Negative 5/4, you can take negative 5 divided by 4 and convert that to a decimal. So we would have negative 1.25. So that would be about here. And then 2, which is right here. So that would be all that you need to do. And you just need to make sure that if a number line is not given to you, that you put the numbers on the number line so that I can see the scale that you're using when you're doing the question. All right. Now, that last question that we did, you will have to do that on a quiz or a test. We didn't go over it in the notes because it was fairly simple, but now we're going to get into some conversions. So you have that page that I gave you that had the conversions in the notes that had most of them on there that you will need. So you should be able to use that to help you with this problem here. So we're converting 350 feet to yards. So remember, when you make your conversion chart, you always want to write down what you have. We have 350 feet. And we're converting that to yards. So we're going to multiply by some kind of fraction. Okay, now if feet are on top here, because technically this is over 1, if feet are on top, then where would the feet go when I'm labeling my chart? They would have to go on the bottom to cancel out. So the feet are going to go there, and the yards are going to go on top. Now you need to ask yourself the question to fill in the chart, how many feet are in a yard? And the answer is 3. So we know there are 3 feet in 1 yard. So that's how you'll fill out your chart. Now we've noticed that our feet have canceled out. So then we multiply straight across. So 350 times 1 is 350 yards over 1 times 3 is 3. So if I divide this, I take 350 divided by 3, and I get 116.6 repeating. Now I know that 0.6 repeating is equal to 2/3, so you could leave your answer like that, or you could put 116.6 repeating yards also if you want to. Okay, or you could also leave this as an improper fraction, and you could try to divide these by the same number, but actually 350 does not divide by 3, so this would be the improper fraction version. So you could have that as an answer too, since they're not specific. Okay, let's try another one. Convert 20 miles per hour to feet per second. Now this is just like the one that we did in the notes. So first you want to write down what you have. We have 20 miles per 1 hour. And we're converting to feet per second. Now you can convert to seconds first or you can convert to feet first. It doesn't matter because you'll end up with the same result. So I'm going to convert miles to feet first. So I need to set up my chart and decide where the miles would go. Now the miles have to go on the bottom because they need to cancel out. And so the feet would go on top. And then I need to ask myself the question for this part, how many feet are in a mile? And the answer was 5,280 feet in 1 mile. So the miles cancel out and we've got our feet. Now we need to convert the hours to seconds. So first you're going to go from hours to minutes and then minutes to seconds. Or you could just, if you know how many seconds are in an hour and you figured that out, you can do that as well. You'll get the same answer. So I need to set up my chart and decide where are the hours going to go. And they have to go on top because they need to cancel out. So the minutes are going to go on the bottom. And then I need to ask myself the question, how many minutes in an hour? And the answer is 60 seconds in 60 minutes in 1 hour. Then I'm going to cancel out my hours and go from minutes to seconds. And then the minutes would have to go on top to cancel those out. And the seconds would go on bottom. And then I ask myself how many seconds are in a minute, and there are 60 seconds in 1 minute, and the minutes cancel out. So then I multiply straight across. So 20 times 5,280 would be 105,600 feet all over 1 times 1 times 60, which would be 3,600. And then we divide. So we take 105,600 divided by 3,600, which comes out to be 29.3 repeating, or that's zero point 0.3 repeating is equal to 1/3, so it's like 29 and 1/3 feet per second. These were seconds on the bottom, so that's how I know it's feet per second. So this would be your answer. You could also reduce this down as much as you wanted to and leave it as an improper fraction, but I feel like this is a more an easier answer to understand. So I like to get mine down to a mixed number or a decimal. All right, one more problem. This one is really cool, especially if you like to travel or if you plan on working at a bank. So a newspaper gives the exchange rates for some currencies with the US dollar as shown below. Copy and complete the statements. So they're telling you what this chart means right here. Um, this row indicates that 1 US dollar equals 1.31 Australian dollars, roughly, and that an Australian dollar is about 76 cents in US dollars. So this is how much 1 US dollar equals in the other, and this is how much the one other equals in US dollars. So you can use either chart to help you with these problems. So first let's start with question A. 1 Singapore dollar is approximately how many Canadian dollars? Well, I don't know that conversion, but I know how to get from Singapore dollars to US dollars. So we could do that. So we're going to start with the first part, part A, and we're going to write down what we have. We have 1 Singapore dollar. So I'm just going to put 1S for Singapore. And then I want to convert that to US dollars. Now you can use either column for your conversion, but you need to be consistent. So I like to use the 1 US dollar because it seems easier for me. So I know that I have Singapore dollars I'm converting to US. So where does Singapore have to go on my chart? It needs to go on the bottom to cancel out. And then US needs to go on the top. So I know that 1 US dollar is how many Singapore dollars? It's 1.6534. Okay? And then I need to convert from US dollars to Canadian dollars. So the Singapore dollars canceled out. And then where would US have to go in order to make our conversion work? It would have to go on the bottom to cancel out, and Canadian dollars would have to go on the top. And I'm going to use the 1 US dollar column again because that's easy for me. So 1 US dollar is how many Canadian dollars? And it is 1.1981. And so the US dollars cancel out, and now we've converted to Canadian dollars. Now we need to multiply straight across. So basically we have 1.1981 on top, and we have 1.6534 on bottom. So if we divide those, we get 1.1981 divided by 1.6534. So we get about 0.724628 is what my calculator shows. Now that is in Canadian dollars. So that is what you would fill in the blank right here. Now you could round it to 72 cents if you wanted to. It's totally up to you. This is what the book has as the full answer, so I'm just going to leave it like that for now if you're checking answers. Okay, part B. Let's switch colors for fun. Okay, so right now we have 1 Hong Kong dollar. And we want to change to New Zealand dollars. Now we're going to have to do the same thing first. We don't know that conversion, so we're going to have to convert to US dollars first. So we're going to multiply, and Hong Kong would have to go on the bottom in order to cancel out, and US would have to go on the top. Now I'm going to do it the other way this time using the other part of the chart just so you could see how you could use both answers or both sides and get the same answer. So this time I'm going to use 1 Hong Kong dollar and see how much that is in US dollars. So Hong Kong dollar is equal to 0.12867 in US dollars. So we have 0.12867. And then we're going to multiply by another one, and our Hong Kongs have canceled out. And we need to put US on the bottom so it cancels out, and then we'll put New Zealand on the top. Okay, so we've got 1 New Zealand dollar equals 0.694801 in US dollars. So it's about 69 cents. So we're going to write that number down on the bottom. And then we're going to work it out. So if we multiply straight across on the top, we just get this number. On the bottom, we just get this number. So really, we're going to divide. So we have 0.12867 divided by 0.694801. And we get 0.1851897. That is the entire answer. And remember, that is in New Zealand dollars. So you can put about 19 cents in New Zealand dollars if you want, or you could leave the answer like this, which is what the book has. All right, I hope you'd enjoy these extra practice problems. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me next time you see me.